Dean Carson here, running just a couple quick videos there for students that I'm teaching, but also, maybe you're interested in guitar and maybe something I say in the way that I say it, reaches you, and that's cool. If it works to help you out too. It took me a lot of time. I dedicated a lot of attention. I myself went to Berklee College of Music when I was a kid, but before that I started learning in lessons with a guy named Jeffrey Steele, who was really amazing, and played with him for a number of years. Then he was kind in recommending me, as my school, high school teachers were, in recommending me for a summer program at Berklee College of Music. I went there, and Berklee was amazing. They give you a lot of knowledge in a short time that you can unpack for years and years. I decided from there I didn't ultimately want to go there for college because I wanted to mix some business stuff with the music stuff. But uh, the idea is it's a good school too. It's very competitive from what I hear, and more recent graduates are saying the same thing. Um, but it's for you. You've got to decide where you want to go. Many notable and great names have went there. There's many people who got honorary degrees like B.B. King, Steven Tyler, and other people who I'm lesser aware of. But a good place to learn, definitely. And the methods that went into that, like the Schillinger method and different things, are good to learn about. It's the basic of music theory. Tchaikovsky also studied music theory and has some really good works on that about the physics of sound and how that relates to it. So if you're into math like I am and different things, you might want to look at that aspect too. It's all complementary to the knowledge and understanding of sound and how it works. And some people are more tech people, interested in the electronics and the traveling of sound. Some people are more, just want context. In any ways, be aware and look at the different ways you can learn. One way to learn by playing, another one is to supplement playing by reading about guitars, about pianos, drums, bass, and sound, and how it all fits together. And that's my chance to talk about music. Hopefully, you're still awake. All right, so 3 quick lessons here. If it's your first time playing, get your fingers acclimated with scales. Okay, you have 6 strings to a guitar. They're named out, and I like to say every average day gets better eventually. To be an optimist, so if you're going through a rough time, or if you're not, you know that every average day gets better eventually. You've got something to look forward to. Inherent in that, you got an E, an A, a D, a G, a B, and an E. You got a high E, you got a low E and a high E. The fat strings are lower strings because they resonate lower on scales, slower vibrations for the string. The higher notes are higher pitch. There's a faster signal of the music that goes along, and in that way, they're higher pitched, and that's how you denote between a lower signal, which is less waves, and a higher signal, which has more of a timbre. In physics terms, electronics terms, and whatnot, if you're thinking about it at that level. On the first chord here, we just want to go through an exercise, which is a chromatic exercise. The chromatic exercise, you come to the 4 frets, assign it so that each finger has 1 fret, and you're going to pick down and up and down and up. I might accidentally just do it down because a lot of time I'm a down picker. Speed picking wasn't always what I was focused on, but if what you want is to be able to pick very fast, then do the down and up exercise. Down, up, down, up, down, up, because it'll help in your speed and your precision to location. A couple problems you have in the beginning is your precision to location of notes, your understanding of what the notes are, and then your ability to play chords. And you're basically learning cerebral learning, visual learning. You're taking the finger memory, you're connecting it with the brain's memory, and you got to tie together your kind of academic understanding of what's in there, or you're just general reference. They're like signposts, so eventually it gets to be like driving. You know where the roads are, you know how to do it. Then you're just watching out for what else is going on around you, and you're able to concentrate more on other instruments and hear what they're doing. And so you're in your lane, but you're also pulling off what other people are doing. But in the beginning, get yourself started. Remember, every average day gets better eventually. It's the optimistic way to look at it, and you'll get there. You put in the time, you're gonna get back. You get back as much from a guitar as you put in to learn. If you put in the effort, if you pursue the knowledge, I recommend that you take the personal lessons and complement it with other sources of reading, learning, internet, videos. Try to play along with things. Every approach you can take. There's not as many people playing live music today, unfortunately, but that means you got a better playing field when you get out there because you got a lot of resources that we didn't perhaps have a number of years back. And if you take advantage of it, it's there for you, and it's something you can add to your repertoire of things to do. All right, so anyways, and once they open up the economy again, hopefully you can get out and play live, hear live music, and I encourage people to go hear live music because there's a real difference when people are playing. And electronic music has its place as a complement, but hopefully not a replacement because what I wanted to say in another video is you quantize music, you fix everything to the beat, and there's no human errors, and half the beauty of music is human errors that happen along the way and give us incredible sounds that surprised us, that inspired us. And so you want to have both that human and machine element. Find to blend them. Best when they work together and complement to help each other. Okay, that noted, this exercise, A string, we're going to take a walk up the A string. It's E, F, F sharp, G, A flat, okay? Within the musical scale, you only have 8 named notes. If we went up the E string, you know, this is kind of a step back to go forward, but we have E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, okay? And that's from the open, we play the note open, to the 12th fret, we play in the octave. You get that, you know, it's essentially an A to A alphabet, except we're starting at E. And the exceptions in music, memorize the exceptions to make everything else easier. E to F, half step, B, C, half step, everything else full step, and half step just means 1 fret up. Full step means 2 frets of a climb. So the E and the F and the B and the C are half steps within music, all right? Within the relativity of, you know, where we're starting, where we're going. Later on it can change to be more complex, but I want you to think in terms of the E and the F, the B and the C. It's most relevant to playing in the key of C major, and we're going to focus on C major as the beginning point. So just take for gospel at this point E and F, B and C, but remember, eventually you'll be playing in different keys, and that will change that, but there is a mathematic relationship, and I'll just cover that real quick when we do that, because if you memorize that, then you could play in any key and it wouldn't matter to you. It's one of the steps of learning. So we're playing in this E, F, G, A, B, C, D to E format of the guitar neck. And one thing we've got to understand is that we're starting from the do, re, mi. We're starting from the mi of the do, re, mi scale if we're in C major and using that as a bass. So the guitar is a little bit odd because a lot of people talk about piano, you can just go to middle C, which would be on a guitar, that C right there on the C chord, the low C. And that for a pianist would be you just go to middle C and play. It's a little bit easier to start learning on piano because that reference. A guitar is working around the keyboard, but it's not tuned directly to a keyboard. So I'm going back to go forward. I'm going to tell you this is a C major scale here. You make a C chord. My C is a little down, so I'm going to fix that. Tune to the 4th fret, that B string. We're up there. My E is low too, so you tune to the 5th fret. The E on the 5th fret, which is B string. Now it's an E when I put it on the 5th fret. Tuning up, we're going to make a C major scale, which is do, re, mi. Goes do, re, mi, fa, sol. All right, let's try this again. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, ti, ti. Okay. These videos, I'm just going to put them up the way they are, but there's going to be some mistakes in them because of that. But later on, I'll fix it when I have more time. This is C. Within a C chord, think C to C. You got a low C up here, that's the 3rd fret, 5th string. You got a high C here, which is the 2nd string, the B string. And you're going C to C. Inherent within that is the do, re, mi scale that you've heard of a lot before. And that is, in words, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, okay? They use it for solfeggio to train voices and stuff, and I think it's just a good reference point because I can talk to you a lot about scales and stuff that build up off of that. And if I run through it fast, just re-listen to this and try to source it with something else too. Go to the web, complement it with another thing. Appreciate the summer, spring music we get. Yeah, but that's about it. So the C chord there goes C to C. Inherent within the C, which is C, E, G, C. That's how we're playing it. C to C is the do, re, mi. Start with C. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay, that's do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right, so that there, memorize that. It's your first scale. It's a C major scale. And it works on the C scale, which is obviously the first in there. That's the first chord. Second chord in the scale of C is D minor. It's defined as the D. It's going off the D. That's how it sounds. And then after the D minor is an E minor. That's the 3rd in the scale, the E minor chord. Then we go to the F chord. F chord is the 4th chord. Then G, subdominant. Right? Yeah, something like that. Dominant chord, right? 5th. And then, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're building off the notes. The 5th note, you can think of it as synonymous with the G chord. Then we have an A minor. There's a 6th chord coming in after the G. And then we have a diminished chord. I'm probably playing this. I'm playing this flat 7, flat 3rd, flat 7, I think, diminished. No, flat 3rd. So it's a B minor chord, okay, and that's a jazz sounding chord. It's a bridge chord that takes you from the major right back to your root chord, C. There's a bar chord in the A form of a bar chord, which is also C. So from C to C, you have a scale that runs, okay? The mathematical relationship is the one chord is a C, 2 chords a minor chord, sorry, 1 chord is a C, 2 chords a minor chord, and it's D minor, 3 chords a minor chord, E minor, 4 chords a major chord, it is a 4 subdominant, moves up to a G, which is dominant, also known as this G form, same thing, just playing it a different way. In that one I'm playing the lower part of an E form bar chord. And then we get A minor is the 6th note, the 6th chord, sorry, running off of the 6th note there, and then the 7th note with a flat 7, flat 3rd 7 chord, diminished chord. All right, I'm not spelling or saying it right, but anyways, diminished chord, and that leads you back home to C. I'll touch these videos up. It's my first one doing it, but I'm going to put it in the way it is because I'm not getting as much time as I want to teach people some stuff because they're in and out and everyone's busy, so I want you to have a chance to have something to come back to and kind of reiterate what we spoke about. And the C to C gives you kind of the rules that cover all scales. So if you're on C, you can move that anywhere once you get the hang of it. So really study into how does a major scale work. It works with, you know, a couple major chords, a bunch of minor chords. It's got 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, 1 diminished chord, and then goes back to the root again, which would be, you know, resolution, but it's a chord an octave higher. It could be the notes an octave higher, but it could actually just be back to the same C. So with the math of it, in any key that's a major key, you've got 3 major chords primarily, the root, the subdominant, and the root is also called tonic, so you've got tonic, subdominant, and dominant. The 3 major chords, they're the 1, 4, 5 notes, and you put out major chords with that 1, 4, 5 note being the name of the chord. So if I'm in the key of C, that's C, F, G, because in the middle we had C, D, E, F. When we went to D, E, F, D, and E are minor chords. D minor, E minor, drop F. Then go to G, that's another major chord. Then go to A minor, and that's a minor chord. That's your 3rd minor chord, right? You have, in that key, you have D, E minor, and A minor, 3 minor chords, and 1 diminished chord, which is spelled out with a root note, with a, diminished 5th in there is what it should be. So it's, you take C, B, and F sharp would ordinarily be the B chord. You dropping down that F to, that F sharp would have been to an F. So B, F, and A are spelling out that chord, which is the diminished chord, which I walked around before, and it's got kind of a jazzy feel and is used part of the turnaround and other things in vamping in jazz, okay? So it's a lot to put into words, but hopefully there's value in that. Now I started with a chromatic scale. I ended up talking about C major. Let me drop back to the chromatic exercise scale. It skips around a lot here, and I'm not trying to spoon feed. I'm trying to give you what you need. Go through it, pick it up. If you got to rewind this, rewind it. If you need further explanation, you just ask me and I'll break it down for you. This here, I want you to do that, but stroking up and down. I'm just doing the downstroke, and right now I got a little bit of rush time, so I'm not going to have a chance to do everything precisely the way I want to do it for you. But as you do these notes and you're practicing, you're a beginner, name these notes so you get comfortable with what they are. Trust me, the notes repeat. You just go from E to E. If you started at the E of the scale, how do we start at the A of the scale, like the next scale goes, kind of like the alphabet? Then the notes are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, okay? A is a repetition. A is called the octave. Let's name the notes as we go through it. A is the root note, tonic note, could make a tonic chord off that, which would be the main chord in some progressions. This is major, and we're working with an A scale in reference to from a C major scale and the steps that are in the C major scale. So what that means is if we're in C major and we start at A, this is the relativity of that. There's a name for it, but it's dropping from my head right now. They're different modes. They're called the Ionian, Mixolydian, Phrygian. I know them, but I just have stepped away, and it's not my everyday to live in the world of naming them. So next time I come back, perhaps I could do that. Or someone else could put in notes if they want to do that. It's fine to do. I don't have to memorize that every day to do what I need to do, but the more that you know, the more you're comfortable with. It's a language that you can speak with other musicians about, so it's helpful to understand those things. So backing it up, the point was you start at A, and I'm just doing this for a demonstration of how the alphabet fits in. You go from A to B, remember half step in C from B to C, then we got D, full step up, that means 2 frets, up to E, 2 frets more, E, F, half step in the C major key, F to G, and then G up to A, okay? So then we've got that, that's all the 8 letters, right in there that are in the scale. A is a repeat, and in the alphabet, you're only running from A to G with the letters that we use in music, and then there are 4 variations of the, 2 variations, sharps and flats that we put onto it, and so there's a number of in-between notes that are half steps, but in total you only have 12 notes. So what that means is you have 8 named notes, right? Really 7, because 1 is a repeat, and then beyond those 7 you've got 5 other notes which are sharps or flats. Sharps or flats indicate going up from a note is sharp, going down from a note is a flat. But if you notice where my fingers were, that's the same kind of thing. I'm coming up from an F as an example. The next note is not G immediately. It's a full step to a G from an F. E to F was a half step, but now F to G, you got a space in the middle. Well, if you're coming up from an F, call it an F sharp. If you're coming down from a G, then you call it a G flat. So what you're understanding there is that there's 5 notes with directional names, which expands the musical vocabulary out to another number of variables, but you're never going to have more than those 7 variables, which are named A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and repeat on the A, but A is not counted, and then 5 variables, which could be sharp or flat, but in essence you only have 12 notes. So my point is, if you can memorize the names of the 12 notes as you play and where they are, it's going to speed up your progress, and then you understand they repeat, and there's spelling, there's chord spelling, which is the notes that make a major chord. For instance, 1, 3, 5, as I was talking about in another video. That helps you to more rapidly learn relationships of notes and to master this enigma, which is the board. And don't let theory rule everything. Let your ear guide you, but make a marriage between theory and practice, and jamming along with songs, but also learning why certain things work. But never feel that you're trapped to the rule. If you get a rule, understand rules in certain contexts. You have to work with the rule to get the result you want in a musical context, and even sometimes with math. There were times where people had to explore to find new things that involved what they thought were the rules and limits of math at that time, but in order to make new equations, or new solutions to problems, they had to tinker with something a little bit, and that's what it is. It's your experiment. Your competition is yourself. Go for it. And as you do the chromatic scales, a warm-up, the reason is to get a finger associated with each fret, and going down as I did, and backwards too. The only other thing I'd add to that is, as you're going, when you're just learning it, name the notes so you can get it and you memorize it. You don't have to do it forever, but it will be helpful to speed up the process. You go E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, B flat if you want, but do it in the same direction. So I'm going to do B flat, B, C, then I'm going to do D flat and D. So the consistency, if you choose a flat to name it, always go with the flat, all right? Whereas if I went sharp, always go sharp and stay that way just for consistency purposes. And the next string is D, so I go D, D sharp now, E, F, F sharp to G, but you're supposed to do D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp. Then I'm on to G, G sharp, A, and I'm doing A sharp, and I'm doing B, and I'm B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, 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 F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, okay? Now when I go back down, I'm going to go A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, and I'm going to go B, B flat, A flat, G, I'm going to go G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, remember C, B, half step, B flat, A, and then we get the last string, it's going to be G flat, G, Sorry, A flat, G, G flat, F, and then E, F, E, remember half step. In any event, do that and do it down and up. And the reason to do it down and up is it's going to help in your speed and long run. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. Shoot for evenness, try to count it, or have a metronome 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Because the more you work with rhythm, it'll build up your rhythm skills for later on. Counting is a part of what you do in music. Subconsciously, you do it at a certain point, but it's also good to actively count and anticipate notes when you're playing in a band situation. That'll help you to keep in rhythm, and certain forms of more intensive blues may not be the same as, the same for the needs for counting, but there's certain players that play and they play very fast rhythm changes, so knowing how to count different rhythms is good in that context. And having the option to count as well as to do it by feel, I think is important. I do a lot by feel, but I think it's good to be in a position where you can do either. And that typically comes from just allowing yourself to have both sets of skills. I think it's a mistake to hide from learning to read music. It's a mistake to hide from the cerebral part, but it's also a mistake to be overly committed to the rules that you're given, because you can create different things that are yours, and no one can tell you what to do on your guitar. That's your guitar, and make the sounds you want. Certain rules are going to make it sound better for different styles. Certainly there's rules to patterns and classes of music, but beyond that, it's yours to take away. And I hope this video is helpful. I know it's kind of long, so probably what I'll do is come back, chop it up into nice slices, and break it down. For now, I just need this up for you because when you guys are playing, I want you to stay inspired. I want you to keep practicing, and I want you to be working on those scale exercises. And I want to be able to put up simple things that reiterate what we worked on together as elements, just to inspire your memory, keep you playing, and trust me, if you put in the time, you're going to get better. And I wish you much success in your journey to learn.